Hello everyone and welcome to this new video. In this video we will explore Nessus application test option. Then we will review some of the scan results of Metasploitable 2 as a target, focusing on port 80 and 8180 because Metasploitable 2 has two web servers. This video is divided into three parts: web application test configuration, scanning result, analyzing result of the web application test. And here is the web application test right here. Now, I'm gonna skip talking about this. I'm gonna go straight to my web application that I have done it. And here, the name of the web application saved under this folder, and that's the IP address. Now I'm gonna skip. I'm gonna just jump into the configuration that I selected it. But however, if you want to learn more about other options, please refer to my YouTube video called Nessus Advanced Scan. Now, let's go to the assessment here. Under assessment, for scan type, I selected scan for all web vulnerabilities complex, and that's going to take a very long time. You have other options to choose from. You could choose custom if you want. And as I said previously, you could go back to my Nessus Advanced Scan to read more and to learn more about it. Okay, so let's just go back here. Now, let's look at some of the features that's already selected for this type of scan. Avoid potential false alarms. False alarms refer to instance where the scanner generates a vulnerability report for an issue that is not actually a vulnerability. Now, enable CGI scanning. CGI stands for Common Gateway Interface. CGI scripts are executable files that generate dynamic web content and provide functionality like form processing, data manipulation, and user authentication. Nessus searches for vulnerabilities specific to CGI scripts, such as directory traversal, remote code execution, and SQL injection. Now, this will do a thorough test against the target. Now, web application. Now, start crawling from /. Now, before I get to that, web crawler test is a vulnerability scan that checks for common web vulnerabilities by crawling through the web pages and analyzing the responses. This test is designed to simulate the behavior of a malicious attacker trying to exploit the target website vulnerability. Now, Nessus looks for SQL injection, cross-site scripting, and others. Now, this option means the first URL page to test. Crawl 1000 pages. This means now crawl 1000 pages. This means the maximum number of pages to scan is 1000. Traverse 6 directories max. This means that the scanner will search in very specified directory, and its subdirectories up to 6 levels deep. This is particularly useful when trying to identify vulnerabilities in a web application that may be buried deep within the directory structure. Now, this test for known vulnerabilities in commonly used web application, they are all listed inside the plugins. Perform each generic web app test for 10 minutes maximum. Now, this option is useful in situations where Nessus may encounter a long-running test that is taking a long time, causing the overall scan time to be longer. By setting a maximum duration for each test, Nessus can avoid spending too much time on a single test and move on to the next one, which means Nessus will stop after 10 minutes according to this configuration, even if it has not completed. Now, this could result in the false negatives because some vulnerabilities may exist and Nessus did not report it. Now, try all HTTP methods. The scanner will attempt to send requests to the target web application using all HTTP methods like get, post, delete, and so on, which, like delete, is considered as less commonly used ones. This can help identify any vulnerability related to HTTP method. Okay, for example, like suppose a web application has a vulnerable delete option in HTTP that allows unauthenticated users to delete data. In this case, the scanning identify this vulnerability by sending a delete request to the endpoint and analyzing the server response. Now, attempt HTTP parameter pollution. Now, Nessus will send specially crafted HTTP requests with altered parameters values to the target web application. These requests are designed to exploit vulnerabilities that may be present due to improper handling of user input in application's parameter. It's important to note that this option may generate a high number of false positives and may also increase the scan time. Credential. So for here, I already picked HTTP and I select the authentication method, HTTP login form, because I'm using here the DMAN vulnerable web. And here you can see the IP address and the folder and the login PHP. Now, if you go back here, I added those URL here for the login submission, login parameters. Now, we know the username and the password is password for this particular server. Other configuration, I kept it as is. Okay, plugins, they're already in. The CGI abuses, XSS, any type of settings like in the login. For example, if you click here, you will see description, plugin information, risk information, and the same thing applies for the web server. There are plenty of plugins here in the system. Now, let's go to the scan result. Now, the scan result, you can see here the vulnerability 1 for critical, 4 high, 13 medium, 5 low, and 80 information. It took 10 hours to do that. And here you can see the pie chart. You can see right here, it shows you the percentage of each one of them. Now, this is just a quick overview of the configuration I have chosen for this scan. Okay. And next, we will look into the vulnerability option here, and we can explore some of the vulnerabilities listed inside. Okay, so let's start with PHP my admin with multiple issues. You see that mixed. Now it shows critical, so let's click here. See, according to self-reported version number, this application hosted on a remote web server is prior to 4.8.6. Therefore, it is affected by SQL injection attack vulnerability. Okay, and simply, you know, PHP my admin, I just go right here, and if you click here, you'll be able to see the website. Now, the second one is PHP my admin setup script configuration. This is just a configuration issue, parameters, arbitrary code, injection attack. So here I could see that this version does not properly sanitize user supplied input. Okay, which means it's susceptible to code injection attacks over here. Okay. Now, the other one is PHP authentication. Let's see something else here. Okay, so let's explore something else like PHP multiple issues here. The first one's Apache PHP CGI remote code execution. Now, the installation of PHP on a remote server contains a flaw that allow a remote attacker to pass command line argument here as part of query string to PHP CGI program. So, I mean, it seems that the vulnerability appears to be caused by using user supply data in the PHP script without proper validation or sanitization, you know. Now, let's expand here. And this is really, it shows right here, the CGI dash bin / PHP question mark. This script appears to take user supply data. Now, let's look at this code over here. Now, if I take this code, which is this string, okay, represent 2 character. If you notice, the the 2D and the percentage 64. So I'm gonna take this one right here, copy, and go here, decode that. This is dash D. Now, this is ASCII character code for encoded form of the dash D option. So this represent dash D, which is again the dash D option is the php.cgi commands used to set the PHP configuration option. Okay, now let's look at here. Now, see the plus sign separate this from here. So if I take this one over here up to this point, oh, oops, from here up to this point right here, copy that, okay? And I take it again to the URL, paste it, decode that. So this represent allow underscore URL underscore include equal on. So this means simply that this URL encoded string is decoded. It becomes allow underscore URL include equal on. Okay. Now this represents a command line option dash F being passed to some command along with a PHP configuration directive. You know, so this allow underscore URL underscore include, okay, being set to on. Now this option includes remote files in the PHP script, which can be a security risk here. Now let's look at something else. Again, notice from plus to here, that's a different encoding. Okay, I go here, decode. Okay, so it shows let me double check that again. Yes, that's correct. So here it shows what? Dash D plus save mode is off. Okay. So the save mode is off. It's a security feature that was presented or was existed in older version of the PHP. Now, this feature was removed completely in PHP 5.4. Clearly means that updating is very important to do that. Now, if the save mode is switched off, that means that's a security vulnerability here. So, okay. Now, if you try to decode each one of these over here for each one of them, this clearly shows that there are many enabled parameters here which cause a major security threat to this web site. Okay, so let's just go back again here. Let's check out something else, you know, like for example, PHP CGI query string parameter injection arbitrary code. This flow could allow a remote attacker to pass command line argument as a part of a query string to the PHP CGI program. Now, this type of vulnerability code appears to be a malicious HTTP post, if you notice here. Okay. Now, which is target a file name, this one right here. This one, sorry, this one right here. The target is located inside this URL or directory of a web server. Okay. Now, the post request contains several parameters that are passed here. See that those parameters right here? And notice the separation from -d to here. Okay. So, which means that there are several parameters that are passed to the PHP interpreter via the command line option -d, which is the one here. Okay, which sets a PHP configuration settings. It allows you to set PHP configuration option at the runtime instead of modifying the php.ini configuration file. Now, let's look at some of these parameters. The allow URL include right here is set on. Now, this allows remote files to be included using the include and the require statement in the PHP, which can be a security risk if the remote files are not trusted. Okay. Now, save mode is off here. Okay. Now, this disables the save mode feature in the PHP, which provides a layer of security by restricting certain function and setting. Now, it does not exist anymore in the latest update. Now, the other one here, the simulation one here, is set on. Okay. Now, this, I mean, by having this one turned on, which enables a PHP security extension in simulation mode. Now, this is supposed to provide sort of additional security feature for PHP, but however, the simulation mode can be used by attackers to test whether this parameter will block certain attacks. Now, so by looking over this URL output by Nessus here, now we clearly see why injection arbitrary code execution is possible according to the report here. Now let's look for something else. Okay, let's see the Tweaky one. Here there is the parameters arbitrary code execution. Now here it tells you that the attacker is able to execute arbitrary shell commands because the attacker can manipulate input to the ref parameter there, okay, which is right here, okay. Now, since the attacker is able to execute this arbitrary code command with the privileges of the web server process, which means this is very serious, such as user nobody, okay. Okay, so this here, let's look for something else. Okay, see, there are plenty of vulnerabilities here. Now let's look at something else, browsable web directories. Okay, so Nessus plugins identify directories on the web server that are browsable. So simply, like if you do something like this, you look it up, okay, and just copy and paste it here, you'll be able to access these directories. That's not something good, by the way. So the solution is to make sure that those browsable directories do not leak confidential information. Okay. Let's look for something else here. browsable web directories. Oh, sorry, we just saw that thing. Let's see something else like now. Let's examine something else like web browser multiple issues. Now, here, for example, like the web server transmits clear text credential, which means there are several HTML forms fields containing an input of type password, which transmit their information to a remote. Okay. Uh, this is low, but you know, just give you an idea about it. Okay. So you could see for yourself that there are plenty of things for you to examine, to explore, to learn about different type of vulnerabilities discovered by Nessus. Now, uh, covering each one of them will definitely take a long time to complete. But the main idea here from this video tutorial is to understand how to read Nessus output. Okay. Finally, thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button below. By subscribing, you'll be notified when I release new videos. Thank you again.